Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss about sympatholytics or adrenoreceptor blocking agents. So these are the drugs that reduce the delivery of catecholamines to the adrenergic receptor, thereby disrupting catecholamine synthesis, storage or release. So these drugs blocks the sympathetic activities by blocking of adrenergic receptors such as alpha and beta receptors. So these agents competitively antagonize the effect of catecholamines at alpha and beta adrenergic receptor. So these are called as sympatholytics because of they can abolish the response to the stimulation of sympathetic nerves. So these are classified into two types, that is adrenergic receptor antagonist and adrenergic neuron blocking agents. So these adrenergic receptor antagonists means they can block the adrenergic receptors both alpha and beta. The adrenergic neuron blocking agents, they may affect the synthesis, storage and release of neurotransmitters and thus reduce or inhibit the amount of neurotransmitters reaching to the adrenergic receptor. So this is the classification of sympatholytics, in which you can observe that so these are classified into two categories: adrenergic receptor antagonist and adrenergic neuron blocking agents. So the adrenergic receptor antagonists are again classified into two types: directly acting and mixed acting. Directly acting are two types: alpha adrenergic receptor antagonist, beta adrenergic receptor antagonist. So these are two types. One is non-selective alpha adrenergic receptor antagonist, selective and ergot derivatives. Non-selective having beta haloalkylamines and imidazoline derivatives. Examples for beta haloalkylamines are phenoxybenzamine, dibenzamine, and imidazoline derivatives are pentolamine, telazoline. The selective antagonist, that means the name says that selective, it can act upon either alpha 1 or alpha 2 receptor and block the interaction of neurotransmitter with these receptor. So alpha 1 selective antagonist examples are prazosin, terazosin. Alpha 2 selective antagonists are euhimbine. Ergot derivatives, these are the plant derivatives or plant extracts. Examples are ergotamine. Beta adrenergic receptor antagonists are divided into two categories: non-selective and selective. The name says that non-selective act upon both beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. Examples are propranolol, nadolol, timolol, pindolol, cartilol. Selective antagonists, that means they can selectively act upon beta 1 and beta 2 receptor. Beta 1 selective examples are atenolol, acebutolol, metoprolol, betoxolol, and esmolol. Beta 2 selective antagonist examples are betoxamine. So these are the structures of uh, sympatholytics: phenoxybenzamine, pentolamine, prazosin, propranolol, atenolol, esmolol, metoprolol, labetalol, from various categories. Next, we are going to discuss about directly acting sympatholytics. So these are the drugs which exert their action by directly acting upon the alpha and beta adrenergic receptor and thereby altering the level of catecholamines and inhibiting the stimulation of adrenergic receptor. So these are classified into two types: alpha adrenergic receptor and beta adrenergic receptor antagonist. So alpha adrenergic receptor antagonists are two types: non-selective and selective. So non-selective alpha adrenergic receptor antagonists are non-selectively act upon alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptor and block the interaction of the endogenous catecholamines with that of receptor and thereby causes vasoconstriction, thereby causes vasodilation. The antagonistic effect of alpha 1 may decreases the blood pressure, as their blocking tend to prevent the endothelial catecholamine vasoconstriction of arterioles and veins, and thus decreasing of vascular resistance and increasing of vascular capacitance. Alpha 2 antagonism may prevent the sympathetic activity both centrally and peripherally. Next, coming to the example, beta haloalkylamines. Beta haloalkylamines are comes under non-selective alpha adrenergic receptor antagonist. So examples for these drugs are dibenzamine. It is a prototype drug, but this usage was very shorter. Why? Because its toxicity. Structural modification of dibenzamine leads to the formation of phenoxybenzamine. So phenoxybenzamine exhibits less toxicity when you compare with that of dibenzamine. Ester of beta haloalkylamines. The name says that beta haloalkylamines. These drugs having halogen atom at a beta carbon atom. The carbon which is adjacent to the alpha carbon known as beta carbon. So it is the functional group having two carbons. One is alpha carbon and one is beta carbon. To that beta carbon halogen is attached. So that's why these structures are called as beta haloalkyl amine. So this is the general structure. So the basic general structure of alkylamine, beta haloalkylamine, is necessary for the antagonistic activity. By changing of this alkylamine basic structure, there is loss of activity. The aryl groups which are present on the nitrogen atom are helpful for binding of the drug molecule with the receptor. At the same time, they can also helpful for transportation of the drug molecule to the site of action. The halogen atom of beta haloalkylamine can be substituted with that of aziridinium ion, which is having a positive charge. So this positive charge can be helpful for binding of the drug molecule with that of receptor. So the positive charge form a covalent bond with that of nucleophile. So the nucleophiles which are present in the receptor such as SHOH and NH2. So such type of nucleophiles which are present in the receptor can interact with this positive charge and form a covalent bond, and helpful for binding of the drug with the receptor to produce antagonistic activity. Examples are phenoxybenzamine. So phenoxybenzamine is a beta haloalkylamine derivatives. So it is having of the structure, so in which you can observe the structure of beta haloalkylamine by taking of the benzylamine is the basic nucleus. So these are, we can give the IUPAC nomenclature. So N2-chloroethyl, so N2-chloroethyl, N1-methyl 2-phenoxyethyl benzylamine is the IUPAC name of phenoxybenzamine. So it is a haloalkylamine adrenergic receptor antagonistic agent. So it is a non-specific in nature and block adrenergic receptor, that is alpha adrenergic receptor, irreversibly. So it has longer duration of action and is found to be effective in the treatment of hypertension which is caused by pheochromocytoma. Mechanism of action. So similarly, so these drugs blocks the alpha and beta adrenergic receptor and prevent the interaction of the catecholamines with the receptor and prevents the adrenergic activities such as vasoconstriction. By the blockage of these adrenergic receptor, there is vasodilation occurs. So that's why we are using these drugs in the treatment of hypertension. So pharmacokinetic parameters observed from GIT. So because of high lipid solubility, it tends to accumulate in the body fat and it crosses the placenta, and the drug exhibits slow onset of action with long duration of action. Drug remains effective for 3 to 4 days. Drug metabolized in liver and excreted through urine. So these drugs mainly metabolized in liver and they can form the metabolites. So the metabolism occurs either phase 1 or phase 2 metabolic reactions. So that is N-dealkylation or hydroxylation at aromatic nucleus. By that they can be metabolized and they can be eliminated from the body. And uses, these drugs mainly used in the treatment of pheochromocytoma. So this is the tumor secreting hormones in the adrenal gland. So effective in the treatment of urinary retention due to neurogenic bladder and in the management of shock. It is also effective in managing hypertension associated with the excessive catecholamine release and also used as nasal decongestant and mydriatic agent. Synthesis of phenoxybenzamine. To prepare phenoxybenzamine, we require phenol and propylene chlorhydrin. So phenol is acidic in nature, which can releases H plus ions, and propylene chlorhydrin having a halogen atom that is chlorine. So it is a better leaving group. So when you condense both of them, there is elimination of hydrochloric acid. So bonding can be occur between the phenol and propylene chlorhydrin. The oxygen of phenol can form a bond with that of carbon of propylene chlorhydrin. So this is the intermediate what we get by the condensation. When you treat this intermediate with the SOCl2, so displacement of the hydroxy group by the halogen can be taken place. The halogen comes from SOCl2, thionyl chloride. Then you will get another intermediate, that is 1-phenoxy 2-chloropropane. So again, if you treat this intermediate with the chloroethyl amine, so the amine is having of two hydrogen atoms. One of this hydrogen atom can be combines with that of one of these hydrogen of amine can be combines with that of chlorine, so they can be eliminated as HCl. They can be eliminated as HCl. So we get the amine which is attached with that of intermediate 1-phenoxy 2-chloropropane. So why? Because the chlorine is a better leaving group, at the same time hydrogen is acidic, so both can be eliminated. Then if we treat it with that of benzyl chloride, so amine group having another hydrogen atom that can be replaced by the benzyl group, so we will get the phenoxybenzamine finally. Imidazolines, the name says that these drugs having imidazoline nucleus in their structures. So these drugs blocks the alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors reversibly. So when you compare that of imidazolines with the beta haloalkylamines, beta haloalkylamines are the drugs which block the adrenergic receptors irreversibly, but these are reversibly block the alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptor. So the imidazoline derivatives are tolazoline and pentolamine. So clinically these drugs are used to treat the hypertension. The mechanism is similar as that of previous, that is these drugs mainly act upon alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptor and block these receptor and prevent the interaction of the catecholamines with this receptor and prevent the adrenergic activity and may causes vasodilation used in treatment of hypertension. Examples are tolazoline. So this is structure of tolazoline having of imidazoline nucleus, having of imidazoline nucleus. The IUPAC name of this one is so 2-benzyl. So the second position of imidazoline nucleus having of benzyl nucleus, 2-benzyl imidazoline monohydrochloride. So it is a non-selective imidazoline derivative having structural similarity with that of nafazoline and xylometazoline. So both are imidazole alpha agonist, and hence it is competitively inhibit the alpha receptor and blocks the alpha 1 alpha 2, so by binding with that of reversibly. Pharmacokinetic parameters. So these drugs rapid absorption occurs in the GIT. So plasma half-life in neonates is 3 to 10 hours and it is excreted in an unchanged form in urine. Adverse effects are headache, shivering, tingling, flushing and sweating, chills are various adverse effects. So in large doses, orthostatic hypertension can be taken place. So it also causes ulcers. Why? Because it stimulates the gastric acid secretion. So these drugs used in the treatment of pulmonary hypertension occurring in neonates, used to treat peripheral vascular diseases and in ophthalmic conditions. It acts as a vasodilator used in treatment of Raynaud's disease and in the cerebral vascular disease. The Raynaud's disease is nothing but some areas of the body feels numb and cool, so due to vasoconstriction. So to prevent that vasoconstriction, we can use this drug. So far we have discussed about non-selective alpha-adrenergic receptor antagonist. Now we are going to discuss about selective alpha-adrenergic receptor antagonist. So in that, alpha-1 selective antagonist. So these are selectively blocks the alpha-1 adrenergic receptor when you compare that of alpha-2. That means they can having less activity upon alpha-2 receptor. Examples are quinazoline derivatives such as prazosin, terazosin, doxazosin, alfuzosin, and non-quinazoline derivatives. Examples are benzene, sulfonamide. Coming to the quinazoline derivatives. So the name says that these molecules having quinazoline nucleus. This is the quinazoline nucleus. So all the quinazoline derivatives, prazosin, terazosin, pentazocin, except alfuzosin having this nucleus. So, but alfuzosin contains an open piperazine ring system. Here, the quinazoline link with that of piperazine ring system. So, quinazoline derivatives such as prazosin, terazosin, pentazocin, so they can have this piperazine ring system, but alfuzosin does not have this piperazine nucleus. It is having a open chain amine side chain. The pharmacokinetic parameters of these drugs depend upon the nature of heterocyclic acyl group attached to the secondary nitrogen of piperazine or propyl chain. Here you can see the in the quinoxaline ring system and piperazine ring system, which is having an acyl group. So acyl group in that R group, so that acyl moiety, so R groups determine the pharmacokinetic parameters of the drug molecule. For example, so in the structure of, so here you can see that in the structure of prazosin, so R is nothing but a furan nucleus. If you reduce that furan nucleus into tetrahydrofuran, so that is structure of terazosin. So that is what happens if you reduce that one is, so the terazosin tend to prolong the duration of action. The alpha-1 blockers tend to have long half-life. They are generally administered once a day. So prazosin is mainly used as an antihypertensive agent, whereas terazosin and doxazosin are primarily used for treating of benign prostatic hyperplasia. So prostate cancer, in prostate cancer we use doxazosin and terazosin because of their selective inhibition of alpha-1 receptors which are present in the prostate gland. But in both terazosin and doxazosin tend to produce cardiovascular side effects. So to overcome that side effects, tamsulosin and alfuzosin are used. So these agents more selective than terazosin and doxazosin for alpha-1 receptor which are present in prostate gland, and they are considered as first-line drugs for treating of benign prostatic hyperplasia. So these are structures of quinazoline derivatives. So at acyl position or acyl position, if furan is present, that is structure of prazosin. If tetrahydrofuran is present, that is structure of terazosin. If 1,4-oxine present and which is fused with that of benzene nucleus, that is structure of doxazosin. Coming to the structure of prazosin. Prazosin is a selective competitive antagonist of alpha-1 receptor. So specifically act upon alpha-1 receptor only and causes vascular dilation. And it is also known as postsynaptic alpha-1 blocker. So this is structure of prazosin. So in this, by taking of piperazine nucleus is a basic cyclic structure, so we can give the IUPAC name, mechanism of action. So these drugs selectively act upon alpha 1 receptor and selectively they block them. So alpha 1 where they can be present, they can be blocked by these drug molecules. So generally alpha 1 receptor present in the blood vessels. So blockage of alpha 1 receptor may lead to the vasodilation. So if the catecholamines bind with the alpha 1 receptor, there is vasoconstriction occurs. So by the blockage of this receptor, catecholamine does not interact with them and causes vasodilation. And these drugs do not act upon alpha 2 receptor, so there is no effect on heart, and they do not increases the heart rate and myocardial contractions. Synthesis of prazosin. To prepare prazosin, we require 4,5-dimethoxy anthranilic acid. When you treat 4,5-dimethoxy anthranilic acid with sodium cyanate, so we will get an intermediate to first the sodium cyanate partial hydrolysis can be taken place. It can be converted into amide. So partial hydrolysis of cyanate converted into amide. So complete hydrolysis may give carboxylic acid. So we require a partial hydrolysis of cyanide moiety. So by that we will get a C double bond ONH2 amide functional group. So this amide functional group having NH2, so that two hydrogens and oxygen of anthranilic acid can be combined and eliminate as water molecule and give a skiff base. At the same time, nitrogen having a lone pair of electrons, so that lone pair of electrons on the nitrogen can attack on the carbonyl group of that intermediate, which is got by the partial hydrolysis. So by that there is formation of a cyclic structure like this. So when you treat this intermediate with thionyl chloride SOCl2, so the chlorine can replaces the hydroxy moiety. Chlorine can replaces the hydroxy moiety. We will get the chlorine substituted derivative. The next, if we treat this intermediate with ammonia, so it can replaces the chlorine atom, so we will get amine substituted derivative. If you treat that intermediate with furanyl piperazine, so what happens is the furanyl piperazine is also having a secondary amine, that is one hydrogen is present, so that hydrogen can attack upon the chlorine atom which is present upon the quinazoline ring system. So there is formation of prazosin finally. Pharmacokinetic parameters. So these drugs mainly metabolized in the liver by the phase 1 and phase 2 biochemical metabolic reactions. So there is deamination occurs. So by that we will get a 2,4-diamino 6,7-dimethoxyquinazoline intermediate, so which can be eliminated from the body. These metabolites are responsible for the hypotensive effect. The unchanged drug is eliminated through the kidneys and metabolites are excreted through the bile and fecal matter itself. Adverse effects. These drugs causes dizziness, drowsiness, headache, depression, and also produces palpitation, bradycardia, abdominal discomfort, constipation, blurred vision, and nasal congestion. Next, selective beta antagonists. So these drugs selectively blocks the beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. So beta 1 receptors are mainly present in the heart. So the blockage of these beta 1 receptors, there is decreasing of cardiac output. So but beta 2 receptors mainly present in the bronchial smooth muscle. The blockage of beta 2 receptors may causes constriction of bronchial smooth muscles. Hence beta 2 blockers are contraindicated in the asthma. So we do not use the beta 2 receptor blockers. So we just use beta 1 adrenergic receptor blockers in the treatment of heart diseases. Examples for the beta 1 adrenergic receptor antagonists are atenolol, acebutolol, betoxolol, esmolol. So all these are used in the treatment of hypertension except esmolol. Esmolol is used to treat cardiac arrhythmia it is a rapidly acting beta 1 blocker, so that has a very short duration of action. That's why we do not use. So all the beta adrenergic receptor antagonists which are cardioselective should have the following properties. That is, they should not block the beta 2 receptors which are present in bronchi. At the same time, they should not block the beta 2 receptor present in vasculature, because blockage of this receptor increases the peripheral resistance due to vasoconstriction. That's why you should not use the beta 2 blocker. Example for beta 1 adrenergic receptor antagonist are atenolol. So in this structure you can see that by taking off the alkyl side chain as a main parent chain, we can give the IUPAC name. Synthesis of atenolol. So to prepare atenolol, we require para-hydroxyphenyl acetamide. So by treating this with the chloromethyl oxirane nucleus, so we will get the intermediate. So here you can see that the phenolic moiety having a hydrogen which is acidic, so that can be eliminated as H plus, and here the chlorine is a better leaving group which can be eliminated as Cl minus. There is formation of bond between the oxygen and the carbon atom, so we'll get the intermediate. Then this can be approached in two different ways. In one way, when you treat it with that of isopropylamine, we will get the atenolol structure, because the amine is having of two hydrogens, so that can be interact with that of halogen. One of hydrogen of amine can be eliminated as H plus, and chlorine eliminated as Cl minus. Both can be combined and HCl will be eliminated. So formation of bond between the carbon and nitrogen taken place. And in the another way, so here the hydroxy group having a lone pair of electron that can be interacted with this carbon atom, so form epoxide nucleus. So this epoxide nucleus, when it approached by isopropyl amine, so immediately it can be opened and gives the atenolol structure. So adverse effects of atenolol. So atenolol causes mental depression that may leads to short-term memory loss, confusion, fatigue, nightmares, hallucinations. So these are various adverse effects by atenolol. So atenolol mainly used in treatment of hypertension.